Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T, and we are about to get into the MVP conversation. It is going around. People have a lot of opinions. We are absolutely no different. Right now, all the conversations are centered around Napheesa Collier, Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas, and Alicia Gray. But I thought we would kick this off with some pretty strong comments, a strong statement from the Aces head coach, Becky Hammon. So check this out.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm gonna say, do you see now why I don't be liking to make predictions? I don't want Becky coming for me. I don't want that smoke. I don't want it. I don't want it. No, jokes aside, I do think that what Becky said had some validity. I have never in any sport agreed that MVP is best player, best team. I think that discredits so many wonderful performances from players who, if you take them off their team, how do they perform? If you, as Becky was alluding to, compare their numbers to on a team that's not the best in the league at any given time compared to other people, are they competing night in and night out? I think it is an individual award, and as much as you can, there are metrics that you can look at to see how an individual is performing versus the field. So I'm with Becky on that. Now, she did throw some strays in there. I don't know, like Melissa Smith. I was like, oh, where'd she come from in this conversation? And then talking about feelings. Listen, awards have become very heightened and emotional, especially for fan bases, coaches making pitches, teams making pitches. And, there are things that people value more. I've said it multiple times. I love defense. I value defense. Defense is a very difficult metric to measure in almost any sport because basketball is actually one of the easier ones. But you're effectively, if you're looking at someone who plays really good defense, you have to watch games. You have to see how they are able to stop and anticipate. And sometimes there just aren't metrics for one individual person being able to do that. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to MVP, I promise here. So what Becky said, I think does have validity looking at the numbers. What I think also we have to open up the conversation to, Alicia, is that people interpret numbers differently. I mean, this is human error. This is all, and human error, we can give people the benefit of the doubt there. Sometimes there is bias that creeps in, but and also, what do people value? Missing 3 games versus Napheesa missing more games, but is her efficiency and that she wanted to come in and be a 30, 50, 90, and she has done pretty well to be at that or very close game in, night after night, game in, game out. Those are all things. And then you look at Alyssa Thomas, who not only has a triple double record in her career, but she has been killing it when it comes to assists. She set a franchise record for assists. You look at Alicia Gray and an Atlanta team that is looking like they know how to finish. This isn't a team that found their way to like a 6, 7, 8 spot in the postseason, as we've seen in years past. They're fighting for a 2 spot, as we've already broken down. And Leash is a huge part of that. What is value added? What if we looked at Indiana? And I know Dawn Staley has already made this case before, but you have to look at what Kelsey Mitchell is doing when knowing that there are 5 players and a coach even with a season-ending injury. And she continues to perform. What would is that Indiana team even in the playoffs if it's not for Kelsey Mitchell? So I hear what Becky is saying. Asia, and I've gone on the record, my prediction was Napheesa Collier. And for a long time, I stood on that because Napheesa Collier looked like she was going to be the MVP. And then here comes Asia Wilson and the Aces. And now the conversation's a little bit different. I love this, though. For me personally, I love that we're actually having a real MVP conversation. It's not about feelings. It's not about bias. It's not about we've decided with our magic wand that it's best player, best team. No, you have to sit down and have a basketball conversation. So I'm with it. I'm with it 100%.
I'm with it too. And like you said, it really does depend on what the voters are looking at. I wanted to bring another voice into this conversation, and that is Rebecca Lobo. We have a tweet from her. And she just outlined what people will be looking like. Last year's MVP vote was easy. This year will be as close as it was in 2023, and once again reflect the voter philosophy. And you look at what she's saying, right? So it will be a reflection of voter philosophy on the best player in the league, most outstanding player on the team, and the best record, and player most valuable to her team. And when you look at it, me personally, I don't get a vote. Okay. I'm not one of the voters. But if I was, I would be heavy on what, personally, Asia Wilson has done all season. I have a list in front of me, and we don't have enough time to go down the entire list. But when you look at how she has led her team on that 15-game winning streak, but not even that, how she has led the team all season long, and the games that she hasn't played, the impact that she had on the absence was felt when it came to Asia Wilson, not so much for Napheesa, right? And I think it's unfortunate because I also picked Napheesa going into the season, and she's so incredibly talented and doing MVP things, right? But I think it's unfortunate that she did miss so many games because those voter philosophies are seeing her absence, seeing what's happening in her absence, and that weighs heavily. That weighs heavily into the final decision. And so it's going to be tight. It's going to be a hard one. And it really is, speaking to what Rebecca had said, it's going to go into what these voters really think weighs the most. But when you look at what Asia Wilson is doing, even, I talked to her about it yesterday as well. She's putting up MVP numbers, has been doing so all season, continues to break history, and is leading this team to the playoffs in the fashion of literally history as well, because they're on this winning streak. And so it's going to be interesting, Erica. This is not the last time we are going to be talking about this, but we had to bring it to the table because that MVP conversation is too hot right now. So the conversation will continue, and we're actually going to continue after this break. We're going to be talking about some of our legends, so make sure that you stay right there, and you will be back with us right here on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.